This section introduces the audience to the Ice Age, a period when early humans faced extreme conditions to survive. The focus will be on the environmental context, how the world was dominated by glaciers, freezing temperatures, and unpredictable weather. The Ice Age spanned thousands of years, and this section will highlight the contrasting forces of nature: warmth versus cold, life versus death. These extremes shaped the survival strategies of early humans, requiring immense adaptability and resilience. The section will describe the brutal winters that characterized the Ice Age, where temperatures often plummeted to below freezing. It will explore how the landscape, covered in ice and snow, with vast frozen tundras and glaciers, created both a natural obstacle and a threat to the survival of early humans. Early humans lived in a world where their survival was constantly challenged by the environment, and they had to develop complex strategies to adapt. The Ice Age was a time when the Earth's climate was colder, with massive ice sheets covering large portions of the globe. Early humans had to contend not just with the cold, but with the scarcity of food, the presence of dangerous animals, and the constant struggle for shelter and warmth. The dangers they faced were not only external, such as predators and natural disasters, but internal as well, as they had to rely on their own instincts and innovative survival techniques. In contrast to today's world, where humans can easily find warmth and shelter, the cavemen had to make every effort to survive. This section will set up the upcoming exploration of how they managed to endure such harsh conditions and what techniques they used to stay alive through the winter. It will also touch on the mental and emotional toll that the constant threat of cold and hunger might have had on these early humans. The section will end with a brief mention of the hope and resilience embedded in early human survival, how their very ability to survive in such extreme conditions marked them as remarkable survivors, and set the stage for the next section that delves into how they adapted biologically and culturally to the cold. This section explores the incredible biological and physiological adaptations that allowed early humans to endure the harsh, freezing temperatures of the Ice Age. The key to survival lay in their ability to manage the extremes of cold, food scarcity, and energy conservation. It focuses on the physical characteristics that early humans developed to not just survive but thrive in one of Earth's most challenging climates. Early humans had to rely on their bodies' natural mechanisms to cope with the brutal cold. One major adaptation was the development of thicker skin and body hair, which helped insulate and protect them from freezing temperatures. This allowed them to conserve heat more effectively, and in some species of early humans, like the Neanderthals, their stockier build was an advantage. Shorter limbs and a wider body shape helped retain body heat. The difference between modern humans and early humans in terms of physical resilience to the cold will be explored, showing how anatomical adaptations provided a survival advantage. Another crucial adaptation was the ability of early humans to store fat. As the body's most efficient energy source, fat allowed cavemen to sustain themselves through the long, cold winter months when food was scarce. The section will explain how early humans adapted their metabolic processes to prioritize fat storage and energy conservation during the cold months, enabling them to endure periods of hunger without immediate survival threats. Thermoregulation, how the body maintains a stable internal temperature, was also vital. Early humans had heightened sensitivity to temperature changes, which allowed them to react quickly to the environment by seeking shelter, building fires, or huddling together in groups. Their circulatory systems helped them manage blood flow to different body parts, ensuring that vital organs stayed warm while less critical areas, like the extremities, were sacrificed for survival in extreme cold. The section will also delve into the psychological and cultural adaptations that helped humans survive. Early humans likely developed a greater sense of community, as social cooperation was essential for staying warm, sharing food, and protecting one another from predators. The emotional bonds formed between family groups, combined with their ability to work together, were key to their survival in a world where every day posed new threats. Additionally, this section will explore how early humans used tools and fire to enhance their biological adaptations. Fire, in particular, played a huge role in helping regulate body temperature, cook food, and even create a sense of safety in the wild. The relationship between biological survival and external innovations like fire making, tool use, and shelter building is emphasized here, showing how early humans combined both innate biological traits and learned skills to withstand the Ice Age cold. In conclusion, this section will highlight the marvel of human adaptability. The Ice Age was a time of relentless pressure where only the most adaptable could survive. Through their physical, biological, and psychological adaptations, early humans demonstrated a resilience that laid the foundation for their survival, ensuring the continuation of the human species in the face of one of history's harshest climates. In this section, we explore the pivotal role of shelter in early human survival, particularly during the freezing conditions of the Ice Age. The shelter was not just a place to sleep. It was a sanctuary that protected early humans from the harshest environmental conditions, including freezing temperatures, fierce winds, and snowstorms. Early humans' ability to build functional, protective shelters was one of the most important aspects of their survival, and it showcased their innovative thinking and resourcefulness. The section will begin by discussing the types of natural shelters early humans sought out. Caves were likely the first choice, offering a natural form of protection from the elements. Caves provided shelter from the wind, rain, and snow, and they were easily accessible in certain areas. But not all early humans had the luxury of living near caves, so they had to get creative in constructing their own shelters. Early humans would have used simple materials such as branches, animal hides, and stone to build makeshift huts or lean-tos. These primitive shelters were designed to retain warmth and provide protection against both predators and the elements. A key aspect of early shelter building was the use of insulation. The section will explain how early humans used animal skins, fur, and plants to insulate their shelters and trap heat. The skins of large game animals, like mammoths or bison, were often draped over shelters to block the cold wind and prevent heat from escaping. This provided a significant advantage in retaining body warmth, especially during the coldest months. In addition, early humans understood the importance of positioning their shelters in ways that maximized natural warmth, such as seeking out areas sheltered from the wind or even using large rocks to absorb and retain heat during the day. Beyond just providing physical warmth, shelter also played a crucial role in the psychological survival of early humans. The mental and emotional well-being of early humans would have been heavily influenced by their ability to create a safe haven. Shelter represented not just protection from a cold, but also a symbol of safety and community. This section will discuss how early humans would often congregate in groups for warmth, sharing their limited resources and creating a sense of collective security. The family or social group would gather around a central fire in the shelter, forging bonds that help them cope with the isolation and harshness of the environment. In terms of practicality, the section will examine the specific construction methods used by early humans. It will explain how primitive tools such as stone knives and spears, as well as the ingenuity of human hands, allowed them to manipulate the materials around them. Early humans were adept at using what was available in their environment, wood, bone, animal pelts, to create structures that were surprisingly effective for survival. The section will detail the design of shelters, from simple lean-tos to more complex structures, depending on the region and available resources. The next point of discussion will be how shelter building evolved over time, influenced by the migration patterns of early humans. As groups moved to different environments, colder regions, more temperate zones, or areas with more abundant resources, shelter styles adapted accordingly. For instance, as humans began to spread out and settle in various regions, they developed new ways to protect themselves from the unique weather conditions of each area, such as creating semi-permanent huts or even early forms of dwellings with rudimentary walls or roofs. In addition to physical shelter, the section will also touch on the concept of psychological shelter. Early humans were often faced with the stark reality of a brutal world. But within their shelters, they could find respite, a moment of emotional safety in an otherwise unpredictable environment. The security provided by a shelter went beyond just warmth. It was also a space for bonding, storytelling, and emotional restoration. As such, shelters were not just physical constructs, but played a critical role in shaping early human communities. This section will end by highlighting the ingenuity and resilience early humans exhibited in their approach to shelter. While the outside world may have been an unforgiving landscape, their ability to create warm, protective spaces allowed them to face the cold and other dangers with a sense of hope and stability. It will also provide a segue into the next section, where we will explore another key element of survival: fire. In this section, we delve into the transformative power of fire, an essential lifeline for early humans during the harsh, freezing winters of the Ice Age. Fire was not just a tool. It was a central part of their survival strategy, providing warmth, protection, light, and even a way to cook food. The discovery and mastery of fire marked a critical milestone in human evolution, offering a means to endure in an otherwise unforgiving world. Fire had numerous uses for early humans, with warmth being the most immediate and life-saving. In an era when the world could freeze to unbearable temperatures, fire offered the necessary warmth to prevent hypothermia and frostbite, making it indispensable. Early humans likely huddled around flames inside their shelters to share body heat and combat the bitter cold. This section will explore how fire, in both large and small quantities, became a physical barrier between life and death, particularly in the deep, frigid winters of the Ice Age. The warmth provided by fire wasn't just about comfort. It was a crucial survival tool that allowed them to endure harsh conditions that could otherwise be fatal. Another significant function of fire was its ability to ward off predators. Large carnivores like wolves, saber-toothed tigers, and cave bears roamed the frozen landscapes, and early humans were at constant risk of attack. Fire provided a psychological advantage, as its flickering light and smoke helped create a barrier that many animals feared. By lighting fires near their shelters, early humans could deter predators from venturing too close. This section will discuss how fire was an essential form of protection, both physical and psychological, from the dangers lurking in the cold, dark wilderness. Moreover, fire played a critical role in food preparation. Early humans relied heavily on hunting, and cooking their food over a fire offered several advantages. It made food easier to digest, killed harmful bacteria, and made the meat more palatable. Fire also allowed for preservation techniques, such as smoking or roasting meat, which were critical for storing food during the scarce winter months. This section will explore the benefits of cooked food and the crucial link between fire and nutrition in the survival of early humans. The section will then dive into the methods early humans used to create fire. Initially, fire would have been discovered through natural sources such as lightning strikes or volcanic eruptions. But over time, early humans learned to harness and create fire on demand. The development of tools like flint and steel allowed them to strike sparks to ignite tinder. Fire-making techniques, such as friction, using stones or sticks to generate heat, were also likely employed. This section will highlight the ingenuity behind fire-making and the evolution of these tools, which were essential for survival in the Ice Age. Fire also had a profound cultural and social significance. Beyond its practical uses, fire provided light in the long, dark nights of the Ice Age. Early humans would have gathered around campfires for warmth and to share stories, creating a sense of community and belonging. These gatherings were essential for social cohesion, as they allowed groups to bond, strategize, and pass down knowledge and traditions. This section will explore the importance of the campfire as a social and cultural hub, providing a sense of security and connection amidst the cold isolation of the Ice Age wilderness. Additionally, fire played a symbolic role in early human belief systems. Early humans may have viewed fire as a powerful force, possibly tied to their spiritual or ritualistic practices. Fire was central to many early cultures, often representing life, renewal, and protection. This section will explore how fire could have had ritualistic significance, with tribes using fire in ceremonies or to invoke the protection of deities or spirits during the harsh winters. As we conclude this section, it will emphasize how fire was not just a means to survive, but a symbol of humanity's triumph over the cold and the unknown. Early humans were not simply battling the environment. They were also engaging in a continuous struggle for mastery over the forces of nature, with fire being one of their most powerful weapons. The next section will move on to another critical aspect of survival, shelter, where we'll explore how early humans built structures that not only protected them from the cold, but also provided psychological safety. In this section, we explore the fascinating and often overlooked aspect of early human life, sleep. While modern humans often enjoy soft beds and climate-controlled environments, early humans had to adapt their sleeping habits to survive in the unforgiving conditions of the Ice Age. The practice of sleeping on hard surfaces, often with stones under their heads instead of pillows, was a common strategy among prehistoric people. This section will delve into why cavemen slept this way and the practical, survival-based reasons behind these seemingly uncomfortable choices. The Ice Age brought with it extreme cold, especially during the winter months when the Earth's temperature could drop to life-threatening levels. In such an environment, finding warmth during sleep was essential for survival. Early humans, unable to rely on heated indoor environments or soft bedding, had to get creative. One of the key strategies for managing cold while sleeping was the use of stones. Stones, when placed under the head or body, acted as natural insulators, helping to preserve body heat by maintaining warmth through thermal mass. This section will explain how these stones absorbed heat from the fire and gradually released it, offering some warmth through the night, making them a simple but effective alternative to modern pillows and blankets. In addition to their practical thermal properties, stones also provided stability for early humans while they slept. The uneven and rocky terrain of the Ice Age landscape required early humans to find sleeping arrangements that were secure and protected them from predators. Lying on solid surfaces would have minimized the risk of injury from falling or being attacked while resting. This section will also consider how the natural environment influenced the choice of sleeping spots. Caves, rocky outcrops, or even sheltered areas where stones could be easily incorporated into the sleeping arrangement. Furthermore, the section will discuss how sleeping on hard surfaces like stones affected early human physiology and sleep patterns. The use of stones likely forced early humans to sleep in positions that were different from how we sleep today. This could have meant sleeping in curled or fetal positions, which might have offered better warmth retention. Early humans would have also slept in close proximity to one another, huddling together for warmth in small groups. This communal sleeping arrangement would have provided both physical warmth and a sense of psychological security, as early humans faced threats from both the environment and predators. The psychological importance of sleep in such harsh conditions will also be highlighted. Sleep in the Ice Age was not just about rest. It was a survival strategy. The constant dangers of the cold, wild animals, and food scarcity created an environment where deep, restful sleep was not always possible. The need for vigilance during sleep, especially in a group setting, meant that early humans may have had fragmented sleep patterns, waking up frequently to listen for danger or to tend the fire. The section will touch on how the early human psyche adapted to these constant threats, and how sleep became a time not only for rest, but also for maintaining group cohesion and security. Despite the lack of comfort that modern humans associate with sleep, the section will emphasize how early human sleeping practices were designed for survival. Stone pillows, hard surfaces, and close quarters all had a functional purpose, maximizing warmth, safety, and rest during a time when the basic need for sleep was crucial to maintaining physical strength and mental clarity. These adaptations also demonstrate the resilience of early humans, who prioritize survival over comfort. In conclusion, this section will reflect on the contrast between the seemingly uncomfortable sleeping conditions of cavemen and the critical survival benefits they provided. The practice of sleeping on stones under harsh conditions symbolizes the lengths early humans had to go to in order to adapt to their environment. Their ability to sleep in such a way, balancing the need for warmth, security, and rest, speaks to the human spirit's determination to survive. The next section will build on these survival strategies by exploring the Ice Age diet and what early humans ate to fuel their daily fight for survival. In this section, we explore the vital and often difficult process of food acquisition and consumption during the Ice Age. Early humans had to adapt to the scarcity of food, especially during the cold winter months when hunting was more difficult and plant resources were limited. This section will cover what cavemen ate, how they procured their food, and how the dietary practices of early humans were key to their survival in one of Earth's harshest climates. The Ice Age was a time of environmental extremes, with frozen landscapes and unpredictable weather patterns that could make food scarce. During these times, early humans relied heavily on hunting, fishing, and gathering, and their diet consisted mostly of animal-based protein. This section will begin by describing the hunting strategies early humans used to catch large game, such as mammoths, bison, and woolly rhinoceroses. These large animals provided not only meat, but also valuable resources such as hides for clothing and bones for tools. Early humans were skilled hunters, using weapons like spears, atlatls, and eventually bows and arrows to bring down these massive animals. The section will discuss how hunting required strategic planning, collaboration within social groups, and a deep understanding of the animal's behavior and the environment. Hunting during the winter months was particularly challenging due to the scarcity of prey and the severe cold, which could make animals harder to find and more difficult to hunt. The section will explore how early humans adapted to these challenges by hunting in groups, using tactics such as driving animals into traps or ambushing them. The communal nature of hunting, where every member of the group played a role, was essential for ensuring the survival of the entire tribe. In addition to large game, early humans also hunted smaller animals such as rabbits, birds, and fish. These animals, while not as large, were more abundant and could be caught with traps, nets, or simple weapons. This section will touch on how these smaller sources of protein provided a necessary supplement to the diet when larger game was unavailable. The section will delve into how religious rituals and ceremonies became central to agricultural societies, as people sought to ensure bountiful harvests and appease the gods who controlled the forces of nature. These beliefs were often reflected in the construction of temples, shrines, and other religious structures, marking the rise of early architecture and the central role of religion in shaping social life. As agriculture and permanent settlements spread across the globe, early human communities began to interact with one another in new ways. The section will explore how the development of trade networks emerged, allowing goods, ideas, and technologies to be exchanged across regions. Early humans began to trade surplus food, tools, pottery, and other goods, fostering economic interdependence and cultural exchange. These trade networks not only facilitated the spread of agricultural practices, but also promoted the diffusion of technologies, such as the wheel, writing, and metallurgy, that would play a key role in the development of civilizations. The growth of early farming communities also led to the development of social hierarchies and political structures. The section will discuss how the accumulation of wealth, the management of resources, and the need for defense led to the rise of rulers, chiefs, and governing elites. As settlements grew in size and complexity, so too did the need for systems of governance. Early human societies began to develop laws, rules, and social norms to regulate behavior and ensure the smooth functioning of communities. The section will explore how the rise of leadership, social stratification, and governance marked the transition from egalitarian hunter-gatherer societies to more hierarchical, class-based societies. The section will conclude by reflecting on how the shift from hunting and gathering to farming laid the foundation for the rise of civilization. Agriculture provided the surplus food necessary to support larger populations, leading to the development of cities, trade, and social hierarchies. It also led to the creation of writing systems, monumental architecture, and the establishment of complex political and religious institutions. The innovations of early farming societies set the stage for the emergence of the first civilizations in Mesopotamia, Egypt, the Indus Valley, and other regions. This transformation marks the end of the prehistoric era and the beginning of recorded history, with a legacy of early human ingenuity continues to shape the world we live in today. The variety of animals hunted ensured that early humans had a diverse diet, although they still faced the risk of famine when food was scarce. Gathering plant-based food during the winter months was far more challenging than during other seasons. The frozen ground made it difficult to find edible plants, and many of the fruits and vegetables that early humans relied on during the warmer months were not available. However, early humans were resourceful, and they learned to gather whatever plant-based resources were still available. This included roots, tubers, berries, and the occasional bark or leaves. The section will explore how early humans developed knowledge of the plants in their environment. Understanding which were edible and which could be toxic, an essential skill for survival. They also learned how to preserve food by drying or smoking it, extending the availability of food during lean months. An important aspect of the Ice Age diet was the ability to preserve food. During the colder months, food spoiling was less of a concern, but early humans still had to figure out how to store meat and other perishable items for times when food was scarce. The section will discuss methods like drying, smoking, and freezing that help preserve meat and other foods, ensuring that early humans had access to food even when hunting was not an option. The section will also address the role of fire in food preparation and preservation. Early humans used fire not only for warmth and protection, but also for cooking food. Cooking meat made it more digestible, eliminated harmful bacteria, and enhanced its nutritional value. Cooking also allowed early humans to preserve food by smoking it over a fire. This dual purpose of fire, both for survival and for sustenance, will be highlighted, showing the interconnectedness of fire, food, and overall survival. As we conclude this section, we will reflect on the challenges early humans faced in obtaining food. The Ice Age was not just a time of physical survival, but also one of ingenuity and resilience in the face of environmental adversity. Early humans had to rely on their deep understanding of their environment, their ability to adapt to seasonal changes, and their cooperative efforts to ensure they had enough food to survive the harsh winters. This section will serve as a segue into the next chapter, where we will explore the tools and techniques early humans developed to hunt and gather food in the cold, including the evolution of weapons and hunting strategies. In this section, we dive into the core of survival during the Ice Age. Hunting. For early humans, hunting was not just a means of securing food. It was a matter of life or death. The ability to hunt successfully was one of the key factors that determined whether a group or tribe would survive the brutal winters. This section will explore the various hunting techniques and tools that early humans used to capture their prey, focusing on how these methods evolved to meet the challenges of the Ice Age environment. Hunting large game such as mammoths, bison, and woolly rhinoceroses was one of the most significant and dangerous activities of the Ice Age. These animals provided essential resources: meat for food, skins for clothing, and bones for tools and weapons. However, hunting these massive creatures was no simple task. Early humans had to develop specialized techniques, tools, and strategies to bring down such large prey. This section will explore the development of early hunting tools such as spears, atlatls, spear throwers, and eventually the bow and arrow. These tools gave early humans the range and power needed to hunt large game. The use of such weapons required skill and precision, and hunting was often a communal activity, with different members of a group playing specific roles in the hunt. One of the most effective and dangerous methods early humans used was the ambush or drive hunt. In this strategy, a group would work together to trap or corner their prey in a specific area, often using natural features such as cliffs, ravines, or dense forests to herd animals into a kill zone. Early humans used their knowledge of animal behavior to anticipate where herds would move and when they would be most vulnerable. This section will explain how this cooperative approach to hunting not only required physical endurance, but also a deep understanding of the animal's movements, migration patterns, and instincts. This method also involved a high level of risk, as hunting large animals could result in injury or death if the hunt went wrong. In addition to ambush hunting, early humans also employed trapping and stalking techniques. Trapping allowed them to capture smaller animals such as rabbits, birds, and even fish with minimal effort, often using simple tools like nets, snares, and pits. Stalking involved silently following a prey animal, often for miles, until the hunter could get close enough to strike. These hunting techniques were especially useful in the winter months, when larger game could be harder to track and hunt. This section will highlight the combination of patience, stealth, and skill required for stalking and trapping, and how these techniques allowed early humans to hunt smaller, more elusive prey. This section will also discuss the role of fire in hunting. Fire was not only a tool for warmth and food preparation, but also played a role in hunting. Early humans may have used fire to drive animals into specific areas or to force them out of hiding. The smoke from fire could disorient animals or mask human scent, making it easier to approach prey. This section will explore the ways in which fire was used strategically in conjunction with other hunting methods to increase the chances of a successful hunt. The importance of teamwork in hunting will also be explored. Successful hunting, especially of large game, was often a communal effort. The coordination of roles, some individuals driving the animals, others waiting to strike or make the kill, was essential. The section will discuss how hunting fostered a sense of cooperation and social bonding among early humans. It also served as a rite of passage, where younger members of the group learned from older, more experienced hunters, passing down crucial survival knowledge. The section will then touch on the psychological aspect of hunting. Early humans likely experienced a mixture of fear, excitement, and anticipation during hunts, especially when faced with dangerous prey. The constant threat of injury or death, combined with the physical exhaustion of hunting, would have been a test of both mental and physical strength. The section will reflect on how hunting shaped the mental resilience of early humans and fostered a deep sense of survival instinct that was crucial for enduring the Ice Age. Finally, the section will explore the relationship between hunting and the environment. As climate conditions shifted and certain animals, such as mammoths, became extinct, early humans had to adapt their hunting strategies. The disappearance of large game led to the hunting of smaller prey and the development of new tools and techniques. This section will explain how early humans responded to these changes in their environment and how their adaptability played a key role in their continued survival. In conclusion, this section will emphasize the ingenuity, cooperation, and resilience required for early humans to succeed in hunting. The techniques they developed were not only about survival. They also shaped the social fabric of early human communities, fostering cooperation and knowledge sharing. Hunting, as one of the central activities of Ice Age life, was integral to the survival of early humans, enabling them to thrive in one of the most challenging periods in Earth's history. The next section will shift focus to the tools used in these hunting practices, exploring how early humans' ingenuity in creating and using tools played a significant role in their ability to hunt and survive. This section delves into the crucial role of tools in the survival of early humans during the Ice Age. The section will discuss how this legacy of creativity and symbolism persists in modern art, religion, and culture. From religious rituals to artistic expressions, the drive to create meaning and communicate with others is a fundamental aspect of human nature that has persisted through the ages. The enduring influence of early human survival strategies is also evident in modern-day approaches to crisis management and disaster preparedness. The adaptability and resilience displayed by cavemen during times of extreme weather, scarcity of resources, and environmental challenges are mirrored in how we approach modern crises, such as natural disasters, climate change, and economic instability. In times of uncertainty, the collective wisdom passed down from our ancestors, whether it be through practical survival techniques or psychological resilience. Guides how we prepare for and respond to contemporary challenges. The section will also explore how early humans' understanding of their environment has influenced our modern relationship with nature. Prehistoric humans had an intimate connection with the land, understanding how to live in harmony with the resources around them. This knowledge is especially relevant in today's world, where sustainable living, conservation efforts, and a deep understanding of ecological balance have become essential for tackling environmental issues. Early human survival strategies, based on a keen awareness of the land, animals, and seasons, have inspired modern movements to reconnect with nature, such as permaculture and eco-friendly practices. Finally, the section will conclude by highlighting how the fundamental aspects of early human survival have shaped the very fabric of modern life. The core principles of resourcefulness, community, adaptability, and innovation that were developed by cavemen have been passed down through generations, forming the foundation for our civilizations, societies, and cultures. As we face new challenges, whether environmental, social, or technological, the lessons of our prehistoric ancestors continue to resonate, reminding us of the enduring resilience of the human spirit. The section will reflect on how the journey from cave dwellers to modern humans is not a linear progression, but a continuation of the same fundamental instincts and innovations that helped early humans survive and thrive. Tools were not only essential for hunting, but they were integral to all aspects of daily life: food preparation, shelter construction, defense, and even social and ritualistic practices. The Ice Age was a period of extreme adversity, and the survival of early humans depended heavily on their ability to create, innovate, and use tools effectively. This section will explore the different tools and weapons early humans developed, examining how these inventions were essential for surviving one of the harshest periods in history. This section will begin by discussing the earliest tools created by early humans, beginning with basic stone tools. Early humans, likely Homo habilis, are believed to have first crafted tools from flint and other stone materials. These tools, known as Oldowan tools, were simple but effective, sharp-edged rocks used for cutting, scraping, and processing food. This section will explore how these early tools marked a significant milestone in human evolution, allowing humans to manipulate their environment in ways that other animals could not. As time progressed, early humans became more skilled in tool-making, developing more sophisticated implements to meet their changing needs. This section will cover the Acheulean tools, which emerged during the Lower Paleolithic period. These tools, characterized by their bifacial design, flaked on both sides, were much more refined and versatile. Hand axes and cleavers were used for a variety of tasks, from butchering animals to cutting wood. This section will highlight how these tools provided early humans with the ability to exploit a wide range of resources, from large game to plant matter, and allowed them to become more efficient in their daily survival tasks. The development of weapons was another critical area of innovation. Early humans' ability to defend themselves and hunt effectively was largely dependent on their weaponry. This section will focus on the evolution of weaponry, from spears to the atlatl, a spear thrower, and eventually the bow and arrow. These innovations allowed early humans to hunt more effectively and with greater distance and precision. This section will explore the techniques and materials used to create these weapons, such as wood, bone, and stone, and how the mastery of these tools gave early humans a distinct advantage in both hunting and warfare. Early humans were not only focused on creating tools for hunting, but also developed instruments for other essential tasks, such as shelter construction. This section will describe how early humans used tools to shape wood, stone, and bone to build more permanent structures for protection from the cold. The ability to fashion tools for constructing shelters allowed early humans to create more complex living spaces, offering better insulation and security against the elements. This section will delve into the craftsmanship involved in shaping stones for building, as well as how early humans used animal hides and bones to reinforce their shelters. Another significant tool development was the creation of cooking implements. While early humans initially relied on raw meat and forage plant matter, the discovery and refinement of cooking techniques allowed them to process food more efficiently. Early humans fashioned rudimentary cooking implements, such as fire-starting tools, pots, and griddles, that helped them prepare and preserve food. This section will explore how cooking not only made food more digestible and nutritious, but also played a role in fostering social bonds within groups. Shared meals around the fire were a time for cooperation, storytelling, and passing down survival knowledge. The section will also discuss the role of tools in early humans' ability to make clothing and preserve warmth during the cold winter months. Early humans used bone needles and awls to sew hides and furs together, creating clothing that protected them from the freezing temperatures of the Ice Age. The section will delve into the intricacies of early textile work, showing how early humans' tool-making abilities extended to the realm of fashion for survival. In addition to practical tools, early humans also created symbolic and artistic tools. The section will touch on the role of art and symbolism in early human tool use, such as the creation of carvings, figurines, and painted objects. These tools were often used in spiritual or ritualistic practices and could have been used for storytelling or recording important events. The section will discuss how these artistic tools may have played a role in early human culture, bonding social groups, and creating a sense of identity and shared history. The section will then explore the broader implications of these tools in terms of human evolution. The development of tools and weapons was not just about survival in the immediate sense. It was also a critical factor in the cognitive and social evolution of early humans. The creation of tools required advanced problem-solving, planning, and foresight, and these skills were essential for adapting to an ever-changing environment. The section will emphasize how tool-making reflects the intellectual and cultural growth of early humans, setting the stage for the development of more complex societies. Finally, this section will address the decline of certain tools and the rise of new technologies as early humans adapted to changing climates and environmental conditions. As the Ice Age drew to a close and early humans migrated to new regions, their tool-making techniques evolved to meet the demands of new environments. The section will conclude by reflecting on how the evolution of tools was integral not only to survival during the Ice Age, but also to the long-term success of early humans in their journey toward modern civilization. In this section, we explore the crucial role of social bonds and family structures in the survival of early humans during the Ice Age. While physical adaptations, such as tool-making and fire usage, were essential for individual survival, it was the strength of human relationships and cooperation that allowed early humans to endure the extreme conditions of the Ice Age. This section will delve into how early humans formed social bonds, nurtured family structures, and created cooperative networks that were pivotal for their survival in one of the harshest environments on Earth. Early humans were not solitary creatures. Their survival depended on the ability to work together and form strong social networks. This section will begin by exploring the nature of early human social structures, focusing on the importance of family units and small tribes. Families were likely the foundational social unit, providing emotional and physical support in a hostile world. Extended families consisting of parents, children, grandparents, and sometimes aunts, uncles, and cousins would have formed tight-knit communities. These families were essential for sharing responsibilities, such as food gathering, hunting, and protection, which increased their chances of survival. The concept of group cooperation was vital in Ice Age society. Early humans often hunted in groups, and such hunts required meticulous planning and coordinated efforts to ensure success. This section will discuss how cooperation in hunting, shelter construction, and the protection of one another from predators became a core value within early human groups. Trust and mutual aid were not just important, they were essential. The survival of the entire group depended on every individual playing a part. This section will discuss how this legacy of creativity and symbolism persists in modern art, religion, and culture. From religious rituals to artistic expressions, The drive to create meaning and communicate with others is a fundamental aspect of human nature that has persisted through the ages. The enduring influence of early human survival strategies is also evident in modern-day approaches to crisis management and disaster preparedness. The adaptability and resilience displayed by cavemen during times of extreme weather, scarcity of resources, and environmental challenges are mirrored in how we approach modern crises, such as natural disasters, climate change, and economic instability. In times of uncertainty, the collective wisdom passed down from our ancestors, whether it be through practical survival techniques or psychological resilience, guides how we prepare for and respond to contemporary challenges. The section will also explore how early humans' understanding of their environment has influenced our modern relationship with nature. Prehistoric humans had an intimate connection with the land, understanding how to live in harmony with the resources around them. This knowledge is especially relevant in today's world, where sustainable living, conservation efforts, and a deep understanding of ecological balance have become essential for tackling environmental issues. Early human survival strategies, based on a keen awareness of the land, animals, and seasons, have inspired modern movements to reconnect with nature, such as permaculture and eco-friendly practices. Finally, the section will conclude by highlighting how the fundamental aspects of early human survival have shaped the very fabric of modern life. The core principles of resourcefulness, community, adaptability, and innovation that were developed by cavemen have been passed down through generations, forming the foundation for our civilizations, societies, and cultures. As we face new challenges, whether environmental, social, or technological, the lessons of our prehistoric ancestors continue to resonate, reminding us of the enduring resilience of the human spirit. The section will reflect on how the journey from cave dwellers to modern humans is not a linear progression, but a continuation of the same fundamental instincts and innovations that helped early humans survive and thrive. This section will explore how early humans learned to value collaboration over individualism, forging bonds that transcended simple survival and became the foundation of social life. One of the most important elements of survival during the Ice Age was emotional support. The stress of constant hunting, gathering, and enduring the bitter cold took a toll on the psychological well-being of early humans. Family and social bonds offered emotional resilience, allowing individuals to cope with the harshness of their environment. The section will explore how shared experiences, such as surviving difficult hunts or enduring cold winters, strengthened the emotional connections between members of a tribe. These shared bonds likely created a sense of belonging, offering comfort and support during times of hardship. Family and social structures also provided a mechanism for passing down knowledge and survival skills. Elders, with their accumulated experience and wisdom, would have been key in educating the younger members of the group about survival techniques, food sources, and how to deal with the dangers of their environment. This section will explore the role of storytelling in early human societies, where elders would pass down critical survival knowledge, cultural traditions, and moral lessons. These oral traditions would have helped early humans make sense of their world and reinforce their sense of unity. While family and emotional support were essential, so too was the division of labor within these early human groups. Different roles would have been assigned based on age, gender, and physical ability. For example, while men typically participated in hunting, women were often responsible for gathering plant-based food, childcare, and managing the home. This division of labor allowed early human groups to maximize their efficiency in securing food, protecting their homes, and raising children. The section will delve into how these gender roles were likely influenced by both biology and the needs of survival, ensuring that every task was covered within the family or group structure. In addition to the biological family, the section will discuss the concept of the broader social network. As early humans began to form larger tribes or bands, relationships beyond the nuclear family became increasingly important. Cooperation with neighboring tribes and trade networks would have been necessary for accessing different resources. The section will explore how early humans, though living in harsh conditions, began to establish rudimentary forms of social organization and alliances. These connections enabled them to share resources, collaborate on larger hunting efforts, and defend against common threats. Social bonds also extended to the spiritual realm, where rituals and belief systems likely played a role in strengthening social cohesion. Early humans likely turned to rituals to explain the mysteries of life and death, and these rituals would have been shared experiences that brought communities together. This section will touch on how shared spiritual practices, whether involving fire, animal sacrifices, or the use of symbolic tools, reinforce the sense of unity and collective purpose within early human groups. The section will also highlight the role of children in early human societies. The survival of the species depended on the ability to nurture and raise children to adulthood. This required not only physical care, but also the transmission of cultural values and survival knowledge. Early humans likely invested considerable effort in ensuring that the next generation was prepared for the challenges of survival. The emotional and educational bond between parents and children was thus a cornerstone of Ice Age societies. In conclusion, this section will emphasize that survival during the Ice Age was not solely a matter of individual strength or skill. It was the deep, enduring relationships within families and social groups that enabled early humans to thrive in a world full of dangers. The strength of these bonds, whether biological, emotional, or social, allowed early humans to endure the extreme conditions of the Ice Age and lay the foundation for the development of more complex societies in the future. This section will serve as a segue into the next chapter, where we explore the spiritual and ritualistic practices that helped early humans find meaning and unity in their harsh world. In this section, we explore the spiritual and ritualistic practices of early humans during the Ice Age. Surviving the brutal cold, hunting for food, and protecting oneself from predators was a constant struggle. And in the midst of such a harsh world, early humans sought meaning and comfort through rituals and spiritual beliefs. These practices were not only integral to their survival, but also helped them cope with the uncertainty of life in the Ice Age. This section will examine the role of rituals, from simple acts of reverence to more elaborate ceremonies, and how they played a crucial role in shaping the social and psychological life of early human communities. Rituals likely provided early humans with a sense of control over their environment and a way to explain the mysteries of the world around them. This section will begin by discussing the connection between ritualistic practices and the unpredictable forces of nature. During the Ice Age, early humans faced extreme challenges: long winters, scarce resources, and constant threats from predators. In such a world, the desire for control over their fate likely drove early humans to develop spiritual beliefs and rituals that could offer some measure of security. These rituals were meant to appease the forces they could not understand and to seek protection, abundance, and prosperity. One of the primary rituals early humans may have practiced was the worship of animals. This section will discuss how this legacy of creativity and symbolism persists in modern art, religion, and culture. From religious rituals to artistic expressions, the drive to create meaning and communicate with others is a fundamental aspect of human nature that has persisted through the ages. The enduring influence of early human survival strategies is also evident in modern-day approaches to crisis management and disaster preparedness. The adaptability and resilience displayed by cavemen during times of extreme weather, scarcity of resources, and environmental challenges are mirrored in how we approach modern crises, such as natural disasters, climate change, and economic instability. In times of uncertainty, the collective wisdom passed down from our ancestors, whether it be through practical survival techniques or psychological resilience, guides how we prepare for and respond to contemporary challenges. This section will also explore how early humans' understanding of their environment has influenced our modern relationship with nature. Prehistoric humans had an intimate connection with the land, understanding how to live in harmony with the resources around them. This knowledge is especially relevant in today's world, where sustainable living, conservation efforts, and a deep understanding of ecological balance have become essential for tackling environmental issues. Early human survival strategies, based on a keen awareness of the land, animals, and seasons, have inspired modern movements to reconnect with nature, such as permaculture and eco-friendly practices. Finally, the section will conclude by highlighting how the fundamental aspects of early human survival have shaped the very fabric of modern life. The core principles of resourcefulness, community, adaptability, and innovation that were developed by cavemen have been passed down through generations, forming the foundation for our civilizations, societies, and cultures. As we face new challenges, whether environmental, social, or technological, the lessons of our prehistoric ancestors continue to resonate, reminding us of the enduring resilience of the human spirit. This section will reflect on how the journey from cave dwellers to modern humans is not a linear progression, but a continuation of the same fundamental instincts and innovations that helped early humans survive and thrive. This section will explore how early humans revered certain animals, believing that these creatures possessed spiritual significance or were imbued with power. Animals like mammoths, bison, and bears were often seen as totemic beings, symbols of strength, fertility, and survival. This section will delve into how hunting these animals could have been seen as a spiritual act, one that required the hunter to offer respect and gratitude to the animal spirit. Rituals of animal sacrifice, as well as cave art depicting animals, might have served as a form of tribute to these beings, ensuring successful hunts and the survival of the tribe. In addition to animal worship, this section will explore the role of fire in spiritual rituals. Fire, a powerful and life-sustaining force, was likely regarded as a sacred element by early humans. The ritual use of fire could have been used for purification, for honoring the gods or spirits, or as part of healing practices. This section will highlight the significance of fire in burial rituals, as well as its central role in creating a communal space for social interaction and spiritual connection. Fire's transformative power, turning raw meat into cooked food, transforming the landscape with its light, and offering warmth in the coldest of environments, could have made it a central symbol in early human belief systems. Another key aspect of Ice Age rituals was the use of cave art and symbolic objects. Early humans created intricate paintings, carvings, and sculptures, often depicting animals, handprints, and abstract symbols. These artworks may have served not only as expressions of artistic creativity, but also as forms of ritual communication. This section will explore how these images may have been connected to spiritual beliefs, with certain markings or images symbolizing protection, fertility, or a connection to the divine. Cave art in particular, found in places like Lascaux and Altamira, could have been created as part of a larger ceremonial practice, such as invoking the spirits of the animals or preparing for a successful hunt. Shamanism is another important aspect of Ice Age rituals that will be explored in this section. Early humans may have practiced a form of shamanism, where individuals in the tribe, known as shamans, acted as intermediaries between the human world and the spiritual realm. The shamans might have entered altered states of consciousness through dancing, chanting, or using hallucinogenic substances, allowing them to communicate with the spirits of animals, ancestors, or the elements. This section will discuss how shamans were revered as healers, guides, and spiritual leaders, providing both practical and psychological support to their communities. They played a key role in ensuring the health and survival of the tribe by offering rituals for healing, protection, and guidance. Rituals were also crucial in reinforcing social cohesion. Through shared religious ceremonies and collective rituals, early human groups could bond, strengthen their social ties, and unify under common beliefs. These rituals would have fostered a sense of belonging and community, offering emotional and psychological support in an otherwise unpredictable and dangerous environment. This section will explore how these rituals helped solidify group identity and provided a means of coping with the emotional strain of surviving in the harsh conditions of the Ice Age. This section will also delve into the connection between death, burial, and rituals. In a world where death was ever present, early humans likely developed elaborate burial rites to honor their deceased and ensure their safe passage to the afterlife. This section will describe how early humans may have buried their dead with grave goods, such as tools, jewelry, or animal bones, as a way to provide for them in the afterlife. The ritual burial of the dead, along with the belief in an afterlife, might have helped early humans deal with the existential fear of death and the unknown. This section will explore how these rituals provided psychological comfort and a sense of continuity beyond the harshness of the physical world. In conclusion, this section will emphasize that rituals and spiritual beliefs were more than just cultural expressions. They were essential survival tools for early humans. Through rituals, early humans could find meaning in their existence, cope with the dangers of their environment, and strengthen their social bonds. These practices helped early human societies navigate the extreme challenges of the Ice Age, offering a source of psychological resilience, social unity, and hope. The next section will shift focus to the impact of climate change and migration patterns, exploring how early humans adapted their lifestyles in response to shifting environmental conditions. In this section, we examine the relationship between early humans and the wildlife that surrounded them during the Ice Age. The environment of the Ice Age was populated by a variety of megafauna and other dangerous and crucial species, with which early humans interacted on a daily basis. These animals were not only a source of food and resources, but also posed constant threats and challenges. This section will explore the diverse species that shared the Ice Age landscape, how early humans hunted and lived alongside these creatures, and the crucial role animals played in shaping the survival strategies of early humans. The section will begin by detailing some of the most iconic and dangerous animals that lived alongside early humans. Large predators such as saber-toothed tigers, cave lions, and wolves were a constant threat. These animals were apex predators, often hunting in packs, and pose a direct danger to early human groups. The section will discuss how early humans had to adapt their survival strategies to avoid these predators, sometimes using fire, group coordination, and clever tactics to protect themselves. The fear of predators likely influenced many aspects of early human behavior, from the design of shelters to the social organization of groups. It is possible that early humans developed heightened vigilance and cooperative defense strategies specifically to ward off these large carnivores. The megafauna of the Ice Age, such as mammoths, mastodons, and woolly rhinoceroses, were not only essential sources of food and materials, but also represented significant hunting challenges. These massive animals provided meat, fat, hides for clothing and shelter, and bones for tools and weapons. However, hunting them required considerable planning, teamwork, and physical effort. Early humans had to develop specialized hunting techniques, such as ambushes and coordinated group hunts, to bring down these giant creatures. The section will explore the techniques and tools early humans used to hunt these massive animals, such as spears, traps, and the use of the outlawed. The hunting of megafauna also likely had a social and psychological component, as successful hunts would have fostered a sense of accomplishment, cohesion, and shared identity within early human groups. While large herbivores like mammoths were a primary target, the section will also cover the hunting and interaction with smaller animals such as bison, deer, and wild boar. These animals, though not as massive as the megafauna, were important for providing consistent food sources during the winter months, when large game could be scarce. Early humans likely employed different hunting methods for smaller prey, such as stalking, trapping, and fishing. This section will highlight the variety of hunting techniques early humans used, depending on the size and behavior of the animals they hunted, and how the adaptability of early humans played a key role in ensuring their survival in a world filled with dangerous wildlife. Beyond hunting, early humans also had to deal with the behavior of other animals in their environment. Many animals, like the woolly rhinoceros or the mastodon, were grazers and roamed in herds. This section will explore how early humans observed and adapted to the behaviors of these animals, using their knowledge of migration patterns and seasonal behaviors to predict where and when they might be found. Early humans likely had to develop specialized tracking skills to follow herds of animals over vast distances, sometimes relying on the landscape itself as a guide. This section will discuss the role of observation and knowledge of animal behavior in ensuring the success of hunts and in keeping early humans safe from dangers. This section will also touch on the domestication of animals. While the domestication of animals, such as dogs, likely occurred toward the end of the Ice Age, early humans' relationship with wild animals began long before this. Evidence suggests that early humans may have tamed wild wolves, who in turn helped with hunting and provided protection against other predators. This section will explore the role of the wolf as one of the first domesticated animals and how this early relationship may have marked the beginning of human-animal partnerships that would grow to shape the development of human civilization. The psychological and cultural significance of animals will also be explored in this section. Early humans likely viewed certain animals as symbols of strength, power, and survival, which is reflected in the many cave paintings and carvings that depict animals. This section will highlight the spiritual and symbolic roles that animals played in early human societies, where animals like the mammoth and the bear were often revered or considered totemic. The act of hunting these animals may have been imbued with ritualistic significance, symbolizing the tribe's power over nature and their mastery of survival. This connection between humans and animals was likely woven into the fabric of early human culture, providing a deeper sense of meaning and connection to the world around them. As we progress, the section will explore the relationship between early humans and other animals that were not directly hunted but still played important roles in their environment. Scavengers such as vultures and hyenas, for example, helped clean up carcasses and prevent the spread of disease, while other smaller creatures, such as rodents and insects, played important ecological roles. This section will explore how early humans were keenly aware of the delicate balance of their ecosystem and how their interactions with other species helped maintain that balance. In conclusion, this section will emphasize how animals were not merely a source of food and danger for early humans, but were central to every aspect of life during the Ice Age. The relationships between early humans and the animals they shared their world with were complex, involving strategies for survival, ritualistic beliefs, and a deep understanding of the natural world. The presence of these animals shaped early human culture, psychology, and social structure, making them essential not only for physical survival, but also for the development of early human society. The next section will look at how early humans adapted to the changing climate and the eventual migration of these species, marking a pivotal point in the history of human survival. In this section, we examine the profound impact of climate change on the survival and migration patterns of early humans during the Ice Age. As the climate shifted, early humans were forced to adapt their behaviors, technologies, and migration routes to cope with the changing environment. This section will delve into the environmental challenges posed by the Ice Age, how these changes affected animal migration, and the subsequent shifts in human movement and settlement. Understanding these patterns is key to grasping how early humans survived one of the most extreme periods in Earth's history. This section will begin by exploring the nature of the Ice Age climate, which was characterized by dramatic fluctuations in temperature, long winters, and cold summers. Ice sheets covered much of the northern hemisphere, creating harsh and uninhabitable conditions in many areas. This section will discuss how these climate changes affected the availability of resources, such as food and water, forcing early humans to constantly adjust their survival strategies. The environment was not only cold, but also subject to fluctuations in precipitation and seasonal extremes, which could make hunting and gathering particularly difficult. These changes drove early humans to develop new survival strategies, including migrating to more hospitable regions. The migration of early humans was deeply intertwined with the movements of the megafauna and other animals they depended on. As large herbivores such as mammoths, bison, and reindeer moved in search of food, early humans followed in pursuit. This section will explore how these migratory patterns were influenced by environmental conditions, such as the availability of plant life, water sources, and the positioning of ice sheets. Early humans, possessing advanced tracking skills, would have been able to follow these herds, moving with them to find food and shelter. This nomadic lifestyle was essential for survival in the ever-changing Ice Age world, and migration was not just about following animals, but also about seeking shelter from the harsh cold. The section will also delve into the concept of climate corridors, areas of land that allowed for easier migration between regions. As ice sheets began to recede and temperatures warmed, these corridors formed, providing early humans with the opportunity to move across vast distances in search of more favorable climates. The Bering Land Bridge, which connected Asia and North America, is one of the most significant examples of a climate corridor. This section will explain how early humans crossed this bridge to settle in new territories, marking one of the earliest instances of human migration out of Africa. These migrations were pivotal in spreading humans across different continents and allowed them to adapt to new environments and climates. While the migration of humans was driven by environmental factors, the section will also address the role of innovation in facilitating long-distance travel. As early humans faced colder temperatures and harsher environments, they had to develop new technologies and tools to sustain themselves during their migrations. This section will explore how the development of clothing, shelters, and fire-starting tools was essential for surviving long journeys in freezing conditions. Additionally, the creation of more efficient hunting and tracking tools allowed early humans to adapt to new ecosystems and successfully hunt in unfamiliar territories. The ability to adapt, not just through physical movement, but also through technological advancement, was key to the survival of early human groups. The psychological impact of migration during the Ice Age will also be explored in this section. Migration was not only a physical challenge, but also an emotional one. Early humans likely faced fear, uncertainty, and hardship as they moved across unfamiliar and often dangerous terrains. This section will discuss the mental resilience required for such migrations, highlighting how early humans developed coping mechanisms, both individually and as groups, to manage the stress and dangers of such long-distance travel. The ability to stay united as a group and rely on social bonds was essential in maintaining morale during difficult migrations. In addition to the migration of humans, the section will explore how climate change influenced the extinction of certain species and the adaptation of others. As the Ice Age climate shifted, many species of megafauna, such as mammoths and saber-toothed cats, went extinct, likely due to a combination of climate change, hunting pressure, and loss of habitat. The section will explore how early humans interacted with these animals and how their extinction affected human migration patterns. The disappearance of these large species forced humans to adapt, hunting smaller prey and developing new survival strategies. The changing availability of resources also meant that early humans had to modify their diets, tools, and hunting techniques to account for the changing landscape. The section will also address the eventual warming of the Earth at the end of the Ice Age, which opened up new opportunities for human migration. As the climate warmed and the ice sheets receded, fertile land became more accessible, and new habitats for both humans and animals emerged. This warming period led to the spread of early human populations into new regions, including parts of Europe, Asia, and the Americas. The section will explore how the warming climate not only allowed for the survival of new plant and animal species, but also provided early humans with the opportunity to settle in new environments, laying the groundwork for the development of agricultural societies. Finally, this section will conclude by reflecting on the role of migration in human history. The constant movement of early humans in response to climate change was crucial in shaping human societies. It enabled early humans to adapt to diverse environments, interact with different cultures, and spread innovations that would later play a key role in the development of modern civilizations. This section will emphasize that migration was not just a matter of survival, but also a driving force behind human evolution and cultural development, setting the stage for the spread of humanity across the globe. In this section, we delve into the essential tools that early humans relied on to survive the brutal winters of the Ice Age. While hunting and food gathering were paramount, the ability to harness fire, construct shelters, and create innovative tools were just as crucial for enduring the harsh, freezing conditions. These tools were not just for immediate survival. They were transformative, shaping the social structures, daily routines, and overall lifestyle of early humans. This section will explore how early humans mastered the elements to create environments that allowed them to thrive in a world defined by its extremities. Fire was undoubtedly one of the most important discoveries of early humans and a key factor in their survival during the Ice Age. This section will begin by discussing the significance of fire in providing warmth, cooking food, and offering protection against predators. In the icy wilderness, fire was a life-saving resource. Early humans would have used fire to keep warm, enabling them to endure the freezing temperatures. The warmth provided by fire also made it possible for them to cook food, making meat more digestible and increasing the nutritional value of their meals. Moreover, the ability to cook food helped in socializing around the fire, strengthening group bonds and facilitating the passing of survival knowledge from generation to generation. The section will explore the ways early humans started and maintained fire. Flint and stone tools, such as hand axes and scrapers, were essential for starting fires by striking sparks, which could ignite dry tinder. As fire became integral to survival, the knowledge of how to create and sustain it would have been passed down and closely guarded. The section will discuss how early humans would have used fire not only for warmth and food, but also for protection. Fire kept predators at bay, such as wolves, cave lions, and other large carnivores, by creating a barrier they were unwilling to cross. Fire also had a cultural and psychological significance. It was a source of light in the dark and a symbol of life in the dead of winter. In addition to fire, shelter was another vital tool for survival during the Ice Age. This section will examine how early humans used their ingenuity to build shelters that could withstand the harsh weather conditions. Early shelters were likely simple structures made from animal skins, bones, and wood. These materials were abundant in their environment, but the key was in how early humans adapted these resources to create insulated homes that could protect them from the elements. The section will explore the different types of shelters early humans constructed, from basic lean-tos to more complex structures like dugout homes and stone huts. These shelters were designed not just for protection from the cold, but also as a place to gather, rest, and bond as a community. Shelters during the Ice Age had to be both resilient and functional. Early humans learned to use the landscape to their advantage, such as building in caves or using large boulders as part of their shelter. In colder climates, shelters were often dug into the earth or built with thick layers of animal skins to trap warmth. This section will also discuss how early humans used animal hides, which were stretched over wooden frames or bones, to create portable and temporary shelters for their nomadic lifestyle. The knowledge of how to build and maintain these shelters would have been passed down through generations, ensuring the group's survival as they migrated to different regions. Shelter construction was not just about physical protection from the cold. It also played a critical role in social organization. This section will explore how early shelters likely had designated spaces for different functions, such as food storage, sleeping areas, and cooking spaces. The design of these shelters would have reflected the roles and hierarchies within the group, with certain individuals, such as leaders or elders, having more prominent spaces. The shared nature of these shelters also reinforced group cohesion, as early humans worked together to create a safe space that allowed them to rest, eat, and regroup after long hunts or migrations. In addition to fire and shelter, the section will focus on the role of tools in the broader survival toolkit. Early humans were not simply content with basic survival. They needed to innovate to meet the demands of their environment. Tools such as spears, knives, and axes were not only used for hunting, but were also essential for gathering food, preparing animal skins for clothing, and constructing shelters. The section will discuss how early humans developed more advanced tools over time, using materials like bone, wood, and stone. These tools allowed them to modify their environment, make their daily tasks more efficient, and protect themselves from dangers. The section will also explore the importance of adaptability in toolmaking. Early humans didn't just make tools, they continually refined and improved them. The section will highlight the evolution of tools over time, from basic stone choppers to more advanced hand axes and specialized hunting tools like the atlatl, which gave early humans greater distance and precision when hunting large game. This constant innovation allowed early humans to meet the challenges posed by the Ice Age environment, ensuring they could hunt more efficiently, gather food, and defend themselves from predators. Another important tool discussed in this section is clothing. While not technically a tool, early clothing made from animal hides, furs, and bones was a critical part of survival. As early humans adapted to increasingly cold conditions, they needed effective ways to insulate their bodies. The section will explore how early humans created their first garments, using bone needles and sinew to stitch together skins for clothing. These garments helped to retain body heat and protect early humans from the cold winds of the Ice Age. Over time, clothing would have become more specialized, with certain designs for different weather conditions, such as heavier furs for winter or lighter hides for warmer periods. In conclusion, this section will emphasize how fire, shelter, tools, and clothing were essential to early human survival during the Ice Age. These innovations were not simply about surviving. They allowed early humans to thrive in one of the harshest climates in Earth's history. The mastery of fire provided warmth, protection, and the ability to cook, while shelters offered safe havens from the cold and predators. Tools enabled early humans to hunt, gather, and defend themselves, and clothing kept them insulated in freezing temperatures. Together, these tools and innovations were the foundation of survival, helping early humans adapt, evolve, and ultimately lay the groundwork for the civilizations that would follow. In this section, we explore the end of the Ice Age and how the changing climate played a critical role in shaping the future of early humans. The transition from the Ice Age to the warmer Holocene epoch had profound effects on the environment, the species that inhabited it, and the human societies that had adapted to the cold. As the planet gradually warmed, early humans faced new challenges and opportunities that would eventually lead to the development of agriculture, the establishment of permanent settlements, and the rise of civilization. This section will examine how the retreat of glaciers, shifts in ecosystems, and changing climates influence human migration, survival strategies, and the eventual spread of early human societies. This section will begin by discussing the end of the Ice Age, which occurred roughly 12,000 years ago, marking the transition into a warmer, more stable climate. As the glaciers receded, vast areas of land that were previously covered in ice became habitable again. The melting of ice sheets dramatically reshaped the landscape, creating fertile plains and river valleys that were ideal for human habitation. Early humans, who had long adapted to the frigid conditions of the Ice Age, now had to contend with a world that was warmer, wetter, and more temperate. This shift opened up new opportunities for human groups to expand into areas previously inaccessible, but it also brought about new challenges in terms of resource availability, ecosystem shifts, and competition with other species. The retreat of the ice sheets led to the formation of new ecosystems, where forests began to spread and grasslands flourished. The section will explore how the warming climate caused the extinction of several megafauna species, such as mammoths and mastodons, which had once roamed the earth in large numbers. As these large herbivores vanished, early humans had to adapt to new forms of hunting and foraging, focusing on smaller game and increasingly relying on plant-based food sources. The section will delve into how early humans adjusted their diets, hunting practices, and tool-making techniques in response to the changing availability of animal resources. As the Ice Age ended and the climate warmed, human migration patterns also began to shift. This section will examine how the warming climate and the creation of climate corridors enabled early humans to expand their range across continents. For example, the Bering Land Bridge, which had connected Asia and North America during the Ice Age, became submerged as sea levels rose, creating a barrier to migration between the two continents. However, the section will explore how early humans adapted to these changes by moving into new territories, such as parts of Europe, Africa, and the Americas. The movement of early humans during this time was not just about survival. It was also about exploration, resource acquisition, and the eventual establishment of permanent settlements. The end of the Ice Age also marked a shift from a primarily hunter-gatherer lifestyle to one that began to incorporate more settled agricultural practices. This section will discuss how the warming climate encouraged the growth of wild plants and the domestication of animals, setting the stage for the development of agriculture. Early humans began to domesticate crops such as wheat, barley, and rice, as well as animals like dogs, goats, and sheep. These changes led to the establishment of permanent settlements, where early humans could store food, build more complex shelters, and develop social structures that were no longer dependent on constant migration. The shift to agriculture also had profound social and cultural implications. With a more stable food supply, early human groups could support larger populations and invest in the development of tools, art, and infrastructure. The section will explore how the advent of agriculture led to the creation of villages and towns, as well as the development of social hierarchies and more complex forms of governance. The section will also examine the emergence of trade networks, as early human societies began to exchange goods, ideas, and innovations with one another. These networks fostered cultural exchange and helped to spread technology, knowledge, and agriculture across different regions. However, the end of the Ice Age was not entirely without its challenges. The warming climate also brought about new environmental pressures, such as droughts, floods, and the spread of disease. The section will discuss how these challenges shaped the development of early human societies, pushing them to develop new technologies, social structures, and agricultural practices to cope with these pressures. The rise of irrigation systems, the domestication of animals for labor, and the development of more sophisticated tools all played crucial roles in helping early humans navigate the uncertainties of the post-Ice Age world. The section will also touch on how climate change during this period influenced the development of early human spirituality and religious practices. As humans faced the uncertainties of a changing environment, they began to develop new belief systems that sought to explain the natural world and provide comfort in the face of hardship. The section will explore how rituals, deities, and spiritual practices began to evolve in response to the changing climate, as humans sought to exert control over the forces of nature that had once seemed so powerful and unpredictable. Finally, this section will conclude by reflecting on how the end of the Ice Age marked the beginning of a new chapter in human history. The transition to a warmer climate facilitated the development of agriculture, the rise of permanent settlements, and the eventual emergence of complex societies. The end of the Ice Age allowed early humans to flourish in ways that were previously unimaginable, setting the stage for the growth of civilizations. While the end of the Ice Age brought challenges, it also offered early humans the opportunity to adapt, innovate, and transform their way of life. This section will serve as a segue into the next chapter, where we examine the cultural, social, and technological developments that followed this pivotal period in human history. In this section, we explore the critical transformation that occurred at the end of the Ice Age, leading to the birth of agriculture, the establishment of permanent settlements, and the eventual rise of early human civilizations. This shift from a nomadic hunter-gatherer lifestyle to a more settled, agricultural way of life marked one of the most significant milestones in human history. The section will delve into how early humans adapted to the changing environment, domesticated plants and animals, and developed the tools and social structures necessary for the emergence of farming communities. It will also explore how these transformations laid the foundation for the development of cities, trade networks, and complex societies. The section will begin by discussing the key factors that led to the agricultural revolution, including the warming climate and the end of the Ice Age. As the climate stabilized and the glaciers receded, fertile lands became more abundant, and the natural world provided early humans with new opportunities for cultivation. Early humans began to notice patterns in the growth of wild plants and the migration of animals. This understanding of the natural world led to the domestication of plants such as wheat, barley, and rice, as well as the taming of animals like goats, sheep, and cattle. This section will explore how this process of domestication was gradual, requiring early humans to experiment with different species and learn to manipulate the environment for their benefit. The rise of agriculture allowed for the creation of permanent settlements, as early humans no longer needed to migrate in search of food. This section will explore how the shift to farming led to the development of villages and towns, where early humans could grow crops, store food, and live in more permanent homes. These settlements, in turn, provided the stability necessary for the development of more complex social structures. This section will delve into how these early farming communities organized themselves, with social roles emerging based on the division of labor, gender roles, and the management of resources. The concept of ownership also began to take root, as people started to accumulate surplus food, tools, and other goods. The transition to settled farming life had profound implications for early human society. It led to population growth, as more stable food sources allowed humans to reproduce in greater numbers. This section will examine how this population growth put pressure on early communities to develop new systems of governance, trade, and social organization. With the advent of farming came the need for labor specialization, which encouraged the development of new skills, professions, and technologies. People began to focus on tasks other than food production, such as pottery making, tool making, and construction. This specialization fostered technological innovations that would eventually lead to the rise of cities and the creation of early urban centers. One of the major innovations of early farming communities was the development of irrigation systems. As the availability of water became increasingly important for crop production, early humans devised ways to channel water to their fields, ensuring a consistent food supply. This section will explore how early agricultural societies in regions like Mesopotamia, Egypt, and the Indus Valley used irrigation techniques to maximize crop yields, supporting the growth of larger populations. The control of water and the ability to manage agricultural production also laid the groundwork for the rise of complex societies, where rulers, priests, and other elites began to emerge, overseeing the distribution of resources and the organization of labor. This section will also explore the impact of agriculture on early human spirituality and religion. As humans transitioned from a subsistence economy to an agricultural one, they began to develop new belief systems centered around fertility, harvests, and the cycles of nature. Early humans began to worship gods and spirits that govern the growth of crops, the weather, and the seasons. The section will delve into how religious rituals and ceremonies became central to agricultural societies, as people sought to ensure bountiful harvests and appease the gods who controlled the forces of nature. These beliefs were often reflected in the construction of temples, shrines, and other religious structures, marking the rise of early architecture and the central role of religion in shaping social life. As agriculture and permanent settlements spread across the globe, early human communities began to interact with one another in new ways. This section will explore how the development of trade networks emerged, allowing goods, ideas, and technologies to be exchanged across regions. Early humans began to trade surplus food, tools, pottery, and other goods, fostering economic interdependence and cultural exchange. These trade networks not only facilitated the spread of agricultural practices, but also promoted the diffusion of technologies, such as the wheel, writing, and metallurgy, that would play a key role in the development of civilizations. The growth of early farming communities also led to the development of social hierarchies and political structures. This section will discuss how the accumulation of wealth, the management of resources, and the need for defense led to the rise of rulers, chiefs, and governing elites. As settlements grew in size and complexity, so too did the need for systems of governance. Early human societies began to develop laws, rules, and social norms to regulate behavior and ensure the smooth functioning of communities. This section will explore how the rise of leadership, social stratification, and governance mark the transition from egalitarian hunter-gatherer societies to more hierarchical, class-based societies. The section will conclude by reflecting on how the shift from hunting and gathering to farming laid the foundation for the rise of civilization. Agriculture provided the surplus food necessary to support larger populations, leading to the development of cities, trade, and social hierarchies. It also led to the creation of writing systems, monumental architecture, and the establishment of complex political and religious institutions. The innovations of early farming societies set the stage for the emergence of the first civilizations in Mesopotamia, Egypt, the Indus Valley, and other regions. This transformation marks the end of the prehistoric era and the beginning of recorded history, with a legacy of early human ingenuity continues to shape the world we live in today. In this final section, we reflect on the lasting legacy of the prehistoric cavemen and how their survival strategies, innovations, and cultural practices have shaped modern humanity. The survival tactics developed by early humans during the Ice Age, their adaptation to the environment, and their ability to create tools, build social structures, and innovate in response to challenges laid the foundation for the development of contemporary human societies. This section will explore the enduring impact of prehistoric survival strategies on modern-day life, from technological advancements to cultural practices, and how the lessons of our ancestors continue to influence the way we live today. This section will begin by examining the fundamental survival strategies of early humans, which involved a deep understanding of their environment, resource management, and adaptability. Early humans were able to live through some of the harshest conditions in Earth's history by developing an intricate knowledge of nature, animal behavior, and seasonal patterns. This section will explore how this ancient knowledge still echoes in modern survival skills, such as tracking, foraging, and hunting. While we may not face the same life or death situations today, the human connection to the natural world, especially in the context of outdoor survival, continues to be rooted in the practices developed by our prehistoric ancestors. The development of tools was another critical aspect of prehistoric survival, and it remains one of the most significant legacies of cavemen. Early humans fashioned tools from stone, bone, and wood, enabling them to hunt, build shelter, and defend themselves. This section will explore how these early innovations laid the groundwork for modern technology, from the use of simple stone tools to the development of advanced machinery. The ingenuity of early humans, who used the resources available to them to shape their world, continues to inspire innovation today. The tools and technologies we rely on now, whether for work, communication, or survival, are built upon the principles of resourcefulness and innovation that were first demonstrated by our prehistoric ancestors. The psychological and social aspects of early human survival will also be examined in this section. Early humans survived not only through physical prowess, but also through social cooperation and the sharing of knowledge. This section will discuss how early human groups relied on social bonds for survival, working together to hunt, gather food, and defend against predators. These social structures were the foundation of the complex societies that would emerge later, and many of these principles, such as collaboration, community, and leadership, are still integral to modern societies. From the workplace to family dynamics, the lessons of social cooperation and collective effort that were honed by cavemen continue to shape how we interact and build relationships today. As we move toward the technological revolution, the section will reflect on how the early human capacity for innovation contributed to the progress we have made. The ability of early humans to use fire, construct shelters, and create weapons was just the beginning of a long journey of technological advancement. This section will highlight how the human drive for innovation, an innate characteristic seen even in the earliest cavemen, has led to the invention of the wheel, agriculture, writing, and eventually the advanced technology we use today, from smartphones to space exploration. It will be clear that the spirit of invention and problem-solving that began with the first stone tools continues to propel humanity forward. The section will also touch on the cultural heritage left by early humans, particularly in the form of art, religion, and rituals. The cave paintings and carvings created by early humans in places like Lascaux and Altamira provide a window into the spiritual and cultural life of prehistoric societies. These early expressions of art, which depicted animals, hunting scenes, and abstract symbols, reflect the human need to communicate, express ideas, and make sense of the world. This section will discuss how this legacy of creativity and symbolism persists in modern art, religion, and culture. From religious rituals to artistic expressions, the drive to create meaning and communicate with others is a fundamental aspect of human nature that has persisted through the ages. The enduring influence of early human survival strategies is also evident in modern-day approaches to crisis management and disaster preparedness. The adaptability and resilience displayed by cavemen during times of extreme weather, scarcity of resources, and environmental challenges are mirrored in how we approach modern crises, such as natural disasters, climate change, and economic instability. In times of uncertainty, the collective wisdom passed down from our ancestors, whether it be through practical survival techniques or psychological resilience, guides how we prepare for and respond to contemporary challenges. This section will also explore how early humans' understanding of their environment has influenced our modern relationship with nature. Prehistoric humans had an intimate connection with the land, understanding how to live in harmony with the resources around them. This knowledge is especially relevant in today's world, where sustainable living, conservation efforts, and a deep understanding of ecological balance have become essential for tackling environmental issues. Early human survival strategies, based on a keen awareness of the land, animals, and seasons, have inspired modern movements to reconnect with nature, such as permaculture and eco-friendly practices. Finally, the section will conclude by highlighting how the fundamental aspects of early human survival have shaped the very fabric of modern life. The core principles of resourcefulness, community, adaptability, and innovation that were developed by cavemen have been passed down through generations, forming the foundation for our civilizations, societies, and cultures. As we face new challenges, whether environmental, social, or technological, the lessons of our prehistoric ancestors continue to resonate, reminding us of the enduring resilience of the human spirit. This section will reflect on how the journey from cave dwellers to modern humans is not a linear progression, but a continuation of the same fundamental instincts and innovations that helped early humans survive and thrive.